from the London University in Shanghai.
Okay. So welcome back. I'm Haotian, and I'm from Fudan University. Today I'd like to share my recent work on a multiple-stage theory for biomolecule function. And here's the introduction that why we need a multiple-stage theory for biomolecule function. To answer that question, let's go back to the topic of this section. Designing cellular circuits, the dream of synthetic biology is that we can use the knowledge from the electronic engineering to design biological system and with predictable functions. But that will require that all the biological parts are reusable and effective. Oh, sorry. But, well, okay. Of course, they are not robust. In the machine system, all the parts are well organized and they will perform as we predicted. But in a biological system, the thing is much more complex. All the biological parts can diffuse freely, and they will meet some other parts, build a new relationship, and then they break up. That's just the life. So why we need a multiple-stage theory? Because all the classic two-stage theory cannot explain how the genetic context influence the part's performance. Like this two-stage theory, it assumes the biological parts have an off-state and an on-state. And in this theory, the physical meaning of the parameters are not clear. And I think the parts are switch-like, which means it only has an on-state and an off-state, but we know for the most of biomolecules, they are very flexible. For example, some enzyme can catalyze the ligand reaction, but at the same time, they are also a sensor for their own activators or inhibitors. Therefore, we need a new theory. So I built a multiple-stage theory, and the detailed description and the mathematical descriptions I use here is very similar to the two-stage theory. But in this theory, I try to exhaust all the type of the reactions and all the steps of the biological molecule regulations. And in this theory, theoretically, all the reaction rates can be predicted by the quantum mechanisms, the first principle. Okay, then let's do some math works. The first thing I want to do is to analyze the steady state. In the steady state, there are two different types of the solutions. One is a kinetic regime. In this model, you will find in different steps there's equation, and it will iterate again and again. But for the thermodynamic solution, it's very simple. You can use a single equation to solve all the problems. But they are solvable. So then let's talk about robustness and efficiency of biological parts. To solve the robustness, we need a very complex mathematical description. But when we solve it, we will find that, here is this element. Well, the seed here is the regulatory activity, for example, the translation, the transcription, something like that. This element will repeat again and again. So let's talk about this element. It depends on the total number of the states. And it's quite interesting and very simple results. And then it's dynamic range. We found that the dynamic range depends on the balance between the hollow state and the apple state. The hollow state means the ligand bound state, and the apple state means the ligand free state. Okay, so if we want to improve both the robustness and the dynamic range, which is the ratio of maximal expression level to the minimal expression level, we can add opposite states so that we increase the total number of states and we increase the balance between the open state and hollow state. To visualize this result, I use ODE model computational simulation to describe the distribution of the coefficient of the variance of the biological molecules and the dynamic range. For the robustness, when we add new apostates, the distribution will shift left, which means there are more robust parts. And for the dynamic range, if we add new states, there are more parts that have a large dynamic range. So let's add a new state. So to experimentally confirm our theory, I use the RNA regulator as the example. Why? Because there are some advantages of rebel regulators. There are very well-developed algorithms to predict the structure and activities from the sequence. And there is another special advantage of the RNA regulator because they are not predictable. So how to add a new state? Here is the original rebel switch, and we will have a switching sequence, and it can bind a different two sequences to form an aptamer binding the ligand, or expression platform to control the downstream events. And it's quite simple. If we add a new sequence downstream, or if you like, it can also add it upstream, and it can competitively bind the switching sequence and form a new state. So the object we engineered here is ACAD leader RNA. It was discovered from the aminoglycoside antibiotic resistance system. And here is the off-state probed from the in vitro secondary analysis. And this is the on-state. If we add drug, for example, the clindamycin, it will have a conformation shift. And the SD2 sequence here will be uncovered, and the translation will be on. So let's add a new state. To make sure that the new state can be identified, I add a terminator state here so that this new state will control the transcription. So here is the original native state. They control the translation, and here's the new state control the transcription. So that it will have two different channel control, and we can use different downstream elements to have to output different functions. And without any elements, the entire output is transcription plus translation, and with some special elements. For example, we stop the translation and start a new translation. It will be the transcription output. Then we measure the transcription output, and we found, okay, it controls the transcription, which means a new state exists. And to make sure that the new state is exclusive state from the original state, we use a mutant to destroy this state. And we found, okay, it also responds to the clindamycin. So which means these two are exclusive. Then let's measure the dynamic range and robustness. And in this figure, the break line is the original rebel switch under the different promoters. We'll see, okay, its dynamic range is very small, and with different promoters, it's performed very differently. And the blue line is the A-leader T. We designed the 3-state rebel switch, and we found that, okay, the minimal level has been decreased, and the maximal level has been increased. So the dynamic range has been enlarged. And robustness, of course, it was much more robust than the original rebel switch. And more interesting thing is, recently our collaborator found the native system also harnessed the similar engineering principle to use the cloning sequence improve the rebel switch performance. So here comes the question that why we have to design the biological system with circuit design knowledge. I think the next generation or the next generation of the synthetic biology, we can let us do something beyond the parts assembly and the circuit design. Now we have well-developed the digital circuit design method, and recently Tim C. Lu has developed analog circuit design. We found that analog circuit design is much better than digital circuit design. And analog circuit design is much common than digital circuit design in the biological system. And moreover, maybe we finally can make a holistic system design, and it will be much better than both of them. So this project was started when I led the iGEM team, and all of our team are undergraduate students, including me. So here's the our story, and I'm open to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Maybe I can ask a question.
Okay.
You made a computational calculation
Yeah.
on your robustness. And you're saying that if you have 3, compared to 2, 3 is better, 3 compared to 3, 4 is better. Yes, it's going on
Yeah.
and on. So how many states do you think you need to get this variance almost towards 0?
Okay, so that's a very good point. So focus on this point. You will find that there's a limitation of the variance, and that is based on the genetic context distribution. If we set the genetic context, it will always like a normal distribution, but it just shifts left, and it will be a limitation here. Yeah.
Is there any other question? Yes, please.
Okay, I'm very interested in your research about to add a state to increase the gene expression variation. Yeah.
No, I decreased the variation so
just
that
like
the robustness
the
is
ribose switch.
improved.
And the ribose switch.
The
Would you
ribose
please
switch.
explain to me more detail?
Which part?
Uh,
Say stop, wait.
yeah, this, yes. Yeah, to increase the variation.
No, the break line is the native ribose switch, and its variation is very large. And the blue line is the engineered ribose switch. All the curves perform very similarly.
So you just do some mutation to the ribose switch. Is that right?
What?
Do some change to the ribose switch.
Yeah, engineered
To-
ribose switch.
Oh, okay, I understand. Thank you.
As for this specific ribose switch, it's a very conserved ribose switch, and all the reported mutation will destroy its function. So that's why we want to develop a new method to improve its performance. So we only add an appended sequence downstream, and we didn't change any sequence in the original part. Well, except this experiment. We add a mutation, and this part has been destroyed. And if we don't add this appendix sequence, the ribose switch have no function.
And the appendix sequence is, how did you design this appendix sequence?
Okay, so that's a hard one. Yeah. So here is, you noticed here is CUUC, and to form a stem loop, you can use GA-rich sequence. And with white lab terminator calculator, we can predict the efficiency of the terminator, so make sure that it will work.
Yes? Did you?
Okay, thank you.
Is that a question? Okay, good. Is there any other questions? No? Then thank you very much for your
Thank you.
talk. And then the next speaker is going